Hey there, Misfits. Welcome to another Snapshot. And we've got a preview of the brand new game from Ivy Studios called Honor's End. And it is a fun game. It's the first time they've ever done a cooperative game. And this one, it is really, really cool. And let me tell you a little bit about it. Now, you've got 1 to 4 players who are trying to go and they're trying to defeat 3 different enemies. And the way they do that is every enemy will give you threat dice. And then these dice are divided between the different players. And then they roll them in. And then basically you'll get different results like misses, hits to your damage, which will give you wounds. It gives you wounds for your deck. We've got honor that you lose. So that's why they call it Honor's End, honestly. You know, we've got a certain amount of honor for the party. And if you lose all your honor in the party, you lose the game. We also have these threats that you've got to get through the 3 of them. And if their threat meter goes all the way through the top, they've overwhelmed the party and they take you out. So those are the 2 ways you lose. And the way you win is you defeat 3 of the guys. Now, there are 2 different modes. There's adventure mode, where you're following a storyline, which is fun. And I think they're still working on writing right now. But we played the first prelude. And in the adventure mode, what's really cool is that you unlock stuff as you go through that you can add to the rest of your game. Now, you have 2 different ways you can play this. You can play this in story mode or adventure mode. So story mode, you follow this whole story and you unlock different things as you go in a party. And you get different rewards. You have, in a story mode, you have different villains that you attack, different group. And then what's cool about that is when you do the story mode and you add those things to your decks, then you can play them in adventure mode. And adventure mode is just jumping in, finding 3 bad guys, and duking it out. And that's a whole lot of fun. So you've got that as one whole, half of it's kind of legacy, half of it's drop in and play, which is really cool. And you can play 1 to 4 players. And the 1-player game has a whole another set of rules that we're going to try to figure out, because that is a whole other thing. But you get Squire cards, which help balance the game out a little bit. But we'll do a different video about that later. But basically, everybody plays their cards that they draft in their hand. You pull 5 normally, and you have a mix of different cards, and you lay them out. Everybody plays simultaneously. So you're laying them out, and you're chaining the different cards on what they can do. They have ability that right here, let me just show you here, up on the top, when you play the card, you get that. It's the area that's a little tan on the top. And you play that, and you get to do that ability. So whichever it is, sometimes it's an attack value, sometimes it's quite often at the beginning, it's where you get some temple or monarchy points. And then there's other things like shields that'll shield a damage that's coming across, or actually a whole die. When you shield something, you do the whole die, but I'll tell you about that in a second. So basically, you play these out, and then you get the damage, you get the monarchy, you get the temple, whatever, and you put it on your little dial. And everybody dials it up, and then we resolve it all at the same time. So what's interesting about this too is that you have to be able to chain your cards. So you have to have a little arrow on the right side of the cards to where it'll let you play another card. So what you have in your hand is very situational, depending on when you're starting and you start a row, then some cards will give you the ability to start another row of cards. But if you don't have the little arrow on the end, like this card here, you're done after you play this card. So that's how you lay out your cards when you play them. Now, trick to that too is you get an extra ability on a lot of the cards on the bottom, to where if you tuck a card that you're not playing that matches the symbol under, then you can do the tuck ability on the bottom. And what that does is it'll give you bonuses. It'll give you, more attacks. It'll give you more shields. It'll give things like that. Now, part of it too is it'll give you extra actions. Like on this card here, you'll be able to lay another card out if you tuck something under here. So it'll let you start another row of cards, so where you can play multiple rows of cards and basically get more of your cards out. And when you get more of your cards out, you're able to handle the danger that you rolled on your danger die. And when you have a danger dice, they can either miss, which is, the best option, but they can hit you for any kind of a wound. And then you can also can lose 1 or 2 honor. And when you get a shield, you shield a die. And it's the whole die. Even if it's 2 honor, you move it over to the shield section of your board, and that one's taken care of. And then when it's all said and done, and you've played all your cards, and you have a certain amount of shielded dice out, and you've gotten all your damage together, whatever is left over that isn't shielded, you take effect. So like I would take this wound here, and I would pull another wound card. And just to tell you more about the other cards in the deck, you start with a starting hand, and you can add to it a wound card. Like every time you're wounded, it basically gums up your deck, but it also lets you play more cards. And then if you tuck the right color under here, you can get rid of this out of your hand. So like sometimes you'll just gum up your deck and you'll not be able to do much with it, but other times you'll be able to toss them out with other cards that let you get rid of them, not only by tucking them, but sometimes you'll just be able to eliminate cards. Now, especially because most of those things that do that are these heroes. Now, these heroes, they come out in your hand like a normal card, but you can't tuck these guys because they don't have any value on the top. The way you know if you can tuck something is it's got on top of the card here, it's got a matching value. And then that value says if you tuck it under, then that will match the bottom. But these guys don't tuck. But they normally have a pretty good tuck option. So this one, for example, has, if you tuck under here and it's got an infinite symbol, you can play more rows of cards. So this hero will help you play more rows of cards. Other heroes do lots of different things. They'll give you more shields. They'll give you more attacks if you tuck stuff. Things like that. But they don't have a value that you can tuck them. And normally they are at the end of the row. So that kind of makes them a little harder to play because you got to play them at the end of a row. You got to be able to start a new row if you have a lot of cards that don't have the arrows on them. And then you've got action cards. Now these guys, they can tuck because they have a tuck value. They often will have better tuck values. Like sometimes there'll be multiple colors, or sometimes there'll be double tuck values, so you can get more advanced options. And then they tend to have a really good tuck available option here. So it makes these cards much better than your normal starting action cards. And that's not all that can help you fight the bad guys. You got equipment. Everybody can get equipment. You start with one, and then you can, by doing different things, and I'll get to that later, you'll be able to get more equipment. And then the equipment has a little bonus on it, like this, the quiver here that I just showed you, lets me draw an extra card each turn. And then you've also got consumables, which are these little deals. And some guys will give them to you. Sometimes you'll get them from the rewards, but you'll get little one-shot consumables that you can use and that you hold on to, and then you use it when it's appropriate. So that is a great addition to your hand. Now, when everybody's playing, the one thing that's cool about equipment, going back to equipment, is that whoever is the first player and gets this cool, chunky little token, then they pick one piece of their equipment that everybody gets to use that round. So it'll buff everybody, which is cool, because there's some situations we were playing the game and it was like, oh, look, we all we got to do is kill that guy. And I had something where if you chuck 3 cards, you do 6 damage. And it's like, we got 18 damage on the table, so let's do that. And we just killed the beast. So that was very cool. So that's what equipment does, and you get more equipment. And let me tell you how to get more stuff and better stuff, because as I was talking about before, there are temple and monarchy values on a lot of these cards with the little crowns or little pope hats. So once you resolve these and you add them to your dial, then everybody's got a pool, and let's say the whole team comes up with 4 temple. And so you get to use this neat little area up here to where you spend the points to go up on the value track. And when you go up on the value track, and if it's an equipment card, everybody gets equipment. And you draw 4 or draw 1 more than everybody else, and then everybody gets to pick one, you draft it. So it's a nice way that if you can generate a lot of monarchy and temple, you can do different things. You can remove some of your danger dice. You can remove some of the other like wounds that you have and things like that. There's a lot of stuff. You can either get stuff or it'll buff the party. A lot of times, like one time we got a lot of honor to fix our honor track because we were starting to lag behind, because that's the bad thing, is that if you resolve honor, it's kind of group hit points. And then, so if you lose your honor, you lose the game. And that's sounds like a lot that we've gone through, but here's an additional bonus because they have these things called inspiration dice. Now, you can earn them periodically, like you can earn them off the monastery or monarchy and temple track, but you can also have abilities, certain cards like this one here. When you play this, you'll get 2 of these dice, and they're inspiration dice. And when you roll them, you get inspiration. Now, inspiration can be used various ways. Some equipment will use them, but the biggest way you use them is they'll activate the tucked abilities. They're like wild cards. So you can put them on a card and you can use that tucked ability. Or you can also mix and match. So you can use like one of these dice and another card. If it's a 2 tuck ability, you can use that. And one of the sides is a 1, one of the sides is a 2. One of the sides is a shield, so you get a straight up shield that you can shield one of the danger dice out here. Or you can also get an ability to where it says you can draw a card and you can start a new line. So that'll let you activate more cards in your hand. So they're kind of one-shots. Once you use them, you toss them back in the pool, but you earn them and you can keep up to 5 of them in your reserve. So if you need to swing something, if you need, hey, I really need this tuck ability, let's roll on it. And it adds some fun randomness to being able to manipulate the game state and use some cards that you didn't think you could use before, and that really is cool. So I think, in all honesty, that's kind of told you most everything about how you play on your side, but how the bad guys play are a different thing. Now, I've got, for example, you've got to get through 3 different enemies, and when they come out, they have a certain amount of hit points. And then they also have these abilities that every round that they stick around and they're still fighting you, they do stuff. Then the first thing they do is the first row over here of different abilities. And like, for example, this bishop we've got here, it gives you gray dice. And the gray dice are the same as normal danger dice, but they go away at the end of the turn. And like I didn't mention before, is like once you're all resolved, these guys go back in the main pool because, you're still fighting. These keep sticking around and you got to roll these every round. Unless you remove them with a shield if they've missed. But that's dialing down a little too much for this video. But the gray ones go back into the gray pool, so they're only like temporary threat for that turn. So this guy, he gives you a temporary threat for the first turn. Then, once a turn ends, you move up the threat level. Because there's a little skull here, it moves this up the threat meter, and it adds another danger die. So, you've got another die going into the pool every round. So now, oh no, I've got 4, so we got to decide, okay, you're going to take these 2, I'm going to take these 2, and we roll them in, and we see how much stuff we have to deal with. And it keeps escalating as it goes. You get more dice and more dice and more dice. And so dice management is very important because sometimes we would take damage just to be able to get rid of a die that was a miss, because we knew that was one less die we had to deal with later. So there's strategic ways to fight these guys. And as they keep getting worse and worse, they'll keep moving up the meter for threat. And then once you've killed the one, well, his buddy comes out the next turn, and you got to kill the next one. And you reset this, and you reset everything, and you go and take them out. And then once you've done 3 of them, then you fall back and relax, because you have won the whole game. And that's a tough uphill battle sometimes, let me tell you, because especially if things start getting out of hand, if you start rolling the wrong dice and you come up and, oh, I can't shield, and especially when they got the 2 honor you lose, it's like we lost a ton of honor one time, and it was just like, whoa, how are we going to get out of this? But the nice thing is you can get out of it, because these temple and monarchy rows will actually, if you pick the right rewards for what you're turning in, then you can recover some of that. So it's really, really cool. And overall, I have to say, it's beautiful. I love the artwork. Artwork is really, really cool. It's so nice of a looking game. It's got great components. It's got great feel, and this is, it kind of fits to me like, hey, you're getting a party together, you're doing like a quick little dungeon delve, or you're doing a quick little go attack the bad guys. There's a ton of games like that out there. I played so many. This is far my favorite one. It's a great time to jump out, get your friends together, get your party together, and go defeat bad guys. It's just a whole lot of fun. I can't tell you any more than that. I would say the Kickstarter is going on. It starts October 7th. If you're watching this before October 7th, you can go there and you can preview the page and say, hey, remind me. And then if it's after October 7th, well, then go to Kickstarter and do it. Why not? Come on. And it's Honor's End. It's from Ivy Studio. Honor's End. You've got to go check this out. It is probably the most fun adventure party board game that I've ever played. I'll tell you that right now, and I've played a lot of them. So until next time, Misfits, game on.